Okay, so this is our last question on our notes, and this is really important because it's not like the other ones, and you do have several questions like this on the test and on your homework, and you need to know how to do these. First of all, you need to know what this right here means. This symbol in the middle, it looks like this, it means congruent. And you should already know that congruent means same size, same shape. For us, what it's meaning here on this case is that AB, segment AB, is the same size, the same length as CD. So we're going to need that in a minute. Go ahead and plot these 3 points on your graph and then we'll come back to it. So pause the video if you need to. I went ahead and plotted my 3 points, A, B, and D. And then what it's telling me is there's also another point, C. And I know the X part of it is 4, and I don't know the other part. I'm going to put a W for the part I don't know. And that's what they're asking me to find the Y coordinate of it. So I don't know where that is. So the first thing I do know, though, is AB is the same length as CD, so I have to find the length of AB. So pause and find that. So we're finding the length from A to B. I wrote my distance formula. I plugged in the X's. I plugged in the Y's. I put it in my calculator. I find that it's the square root of 40. So AB is the square root of 40. Now what I know, and what we said here, was AB is the same thing as CD. They're congruent, so CD is also the square root of 40. So I'm going to put that in now for the square root of 40, and I'm going to write my formula again. And I'm going to plug in C and D that I know. So I wrote my formula out again, pause, and so you can write this down. I wrote my formula out again. I plugged in, this time I'm using C and D here, and I plugged those in. And then this should make sense to you. If these two things are equal with the square roots, the only way these two square roots can be equal is if what's underneath the square roots is also equal. So I can just take the square roots off. So now I need to find what W is. Really, if we wanted to work this out the long way with algebra, we need to come over here to the side and we need to multiply this out like this with FOIL, first times first, outside, so on, work all the algebra out. But we don't really need to go into all that detail today. We'll do that later this year and review that stuff. But we don't need it today for what we're doing because these are multiple choice on your test. So I can also solve problems by just taking my answers and plugging them in and seeing if they work. That's how we're going to do this today. So I've on my calculator typed in that much of it, and my first multiple choice answer says 5. So I'm going to put a 5 in there and finish this off. So I'm putting in 5 for this one. And we get 100. Is that the right answer? No? Then let's work that one out. That one doesn't work. Now, something you may not know about your calculators is you can get this and just change this number without retyping the whole thing. All you have to do is come down here, and if you look at this, right here on the equal sign, it says entry above it. So if I do second, enter, it rewrites what I had. Now I can just go and use my arrow keys to go back over and change what I need to change. I want to change that W now to a 1 for my next one I'm going to plug in. So I'm just going to type right over the top of that and change it to a 1. And hit enter, and it tells me now it's 52. Is that what I wanted? No, I wanted it to be 40, so that one doesn't work. Now I'm going to try the next one. So remember, second, enter. Now if I try to type in -5, it's going to start writing over the top of this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use insert. Did you know it says insert right there? That's delete, that's insert. So you just do second insert, and then I can type it, and it just scoots the other stuff over for me. Hey, that one works out to be 40, so I know that one works. Let's try this one as well. So second entry, let's try the 1. Oh, that one works too. So we got 2 answers that worked. -5 and -1. Let's look at our graph and see if those make sense. I knew that my x coordinate was 4, so I've got 2 points here. 4, -5, and 4, -1. 4, -5 is right here, and 4, -1 is right there. Well, this point, if I graph this one, do those look like they're the same length? That one looks like it works. Now what about this one? Even though it's not parallel to that one, does it look like it's the same length? It does, so this one is also an answer. So in this case, there's two answers. On some of the homework problems and on some of the test questions, you might get numbers like this as your two options, but somewhere in the problem it may tell you something like this as one of the parts of the problem. Well, if it told me that W has to be bigger than 0, then that would tell me this is the only answer that works for that one. So sometimes you have to be careful that you read all the parts of the problem and you're just giving the answer that it wants. Sometimes there's two answers, sometimes there's only one.